Welcome to the Trisbrina Show.
In tonight's episode, we will be chatting about how it takes two to tango in relationships. How and what can you do to stay on beat with your partner, to stop stepping on each other's feet, to do the right steps? How can you use the choreography of life to your advantage? And how are you misstepping? Not just intimate romantic relationships, but boss-employee, mommies and babies, sisters,
and babies.
All relationships are a dance that we have with another person. And so we thought it would be really fun to talk about it using some dance analogies, because after all, it does take
Two to tango. Greetings, welcome. It's lovely to be with you guys tonight, today, whatever time you're piping in. We know that these replays live on well beyond the hour, so if you're watching the replay...
Sometimes that's good, and sometimes not so much.
Well, they've been getting chopped up a little bit too, haven't they, and shared. Oh, is this the microphone for tonight?
Yes, have a screenshot.
So cute. All right, so... We all know lots about relationships because we're in them every single day. But, I was taking some notes for myself that wanted to come through tonight. And I'm going to go there. The first relationship that I want to be in is with me. I want to show up as a full cup. I want to show up fully in this relationship. And the only way that this has ever worked is if I work this first and I can bring the totality of the love that I want to bring to the relationship. So I know that's a no-brainer, but not everybody shows up fully lit up in their relationships, whether it be romantic or in business or with your children or siblings or whatever. How are you showing up? So step one.
So I think I'll add some dance analogies to what Tristan just said, as far as it's up to us to bring a full cup to the relationship. So how can I do that? Well, as a metaphor, I can do my bar work. I can practice the steps. I can think about the techniques. I can listen to the music that I want us to dance to together, right? I can visualize the exchanges. I can feel into the vibration of what I want that relationship to be. Maybe not stuck in the past, right? Because here's the thing that I think is so fun, is that whatever relationships you're in, whether it's romantic or friends, whatever it is, you sort of get into a back and forth, which is like choreography. Sometimes it's fun and funny. Sometimes it's snippy and biting. Sometimes it's the bully and the victim. Sometimes it's whatever it is.
Dynamic.
And you guys get used to dancing that dance together. You get used to doing those dance steps together. So it's almost as if, as a couple, when your song comes on, when the first person does that step, when the first person does that thing that might irritate you, the other person's like, I know this dance. We so have it down. And you can drop, let's say it's a romantic relationship where you're used to like picking at each other and being snippy. And that's just kind of the habit that you've developed. You're so good at it. You're amazing at it. One person digs, the other one digs. This one acts hurt, this one acts hurt. This one's the bully, this one's the receiver. You know those steps so well.
Yes.
It's almost like when you're out at a dance and this couple gets up. A lot of times it's an older couple and it's like, wow, they've been dancing together for so many years. They know what each other's going to do before they even do it.
And it's so beautiful
it's
to watch.
It's such a lead and follow. It's amazing. They've done this dance together their whole life. So what the question is what is that dance that we are participating in with each and every person individually in our lives? And is it the dance that we want to dance with them, or is it time to go back to the dance school and learn some new steps?
So we're talking about partnership, aren't we? The ability to show up with one or more and contribute, right? Like I had kicked this off for me is how am I showing up? Am I bringing something to the relationship? I remember as a kid years ago, I had a mentor. I was living in Malibu, and it was just like a short window. This was like a 2-week mentorship. An older gentleman was coaching me on some stuff. And he asked me if, kind of like a little lesson. He said, Tristan, if I ask you for $100 and you don't have it, you can't give it to me, right? I'm like, duh, no, kidding. Yeah, you can't give it to you. He goes, And when I hear you say, I love you, right, to somebody, I love you. He said, if you don't love you, can you truly give love to somebody else? And so we say things all the time, like in a relationship or romantically, I love you, I love you. But the only way you can really love another is if you are showing up with love. And I guess it's that way in any relationship that you have an agreement together that we're going to do this thing. And it's so beautiful in like a dance, like a tango. Mm-hmm. We're going to dance these particular steps to this particular rhythm, and we're going to choreograph, or we're going to spontaneously dance, and we're going to have an experience. And it's going to be spicy, and it's going to be fun, it's going to be romantic, right?
It's going to be whatever you two together decide the relationship will be.
Okay, my projection on tango is this hot and romantic and sexy, and there's a little tension, and it's just an amazing experience. But they're in love. They are lovers. Lovers. So, how is this relationship formed? What is the purpose of this relationship? Whatever it is. Mm-hmm. So I just will say, any relationship that I'm in, I want the other human being or other human beings to feel that I contributed, and that I brought more quality of life, more quality of business, more quality of joy, more love to the equation than was there before.
Yeah. And I think that a lot of people have that intention.
Sure.
But how evolved is it? Right? Because, you can say in your bed when you wake up, it's, I'm really not going to react to that person today. I'm really not going to react. Now, sometimes the reacting is not the reaction like, gosh darn it. Sometimes the reacting is the little picking, right? You can't really say what a reaction is. It's whatever it is that you do. That when that person starts to do that thing they do, you start dancing. And that's what's really interesting and can help you evolve, can help me evolve. If when the person does that step, and I know how I usually follow it, I know the exact thing I usually do when the boss speaks to me that way, is that I choose to do another step.
You don't have a boss.
Well, it's imagination. I'm just
an imaginary boss.
Yeah. So when I tell Tristan, we'll say the truth.
This is how you're going to be the boss.
No, so if you're in that relationship and the other person starts to do the dance that you always do together, that's not the highest dance that you can do. What if you changed your step, right? So normally they step forward, which you would step back. What if this time you step to the side? Wouldn't that then cause them to have a different next step?
Yeah. Because
it's a new dance. So what would that mean? Well, it's probably not going to mean that you're off center. It's probably going to mean that you are more centered. You are who you want to be. And I want to acknowledge that it is not a simple task when you have habitually practiced an interaction with someone to change. Right? So we have a way that we are with each other most of the time, and it's very playful. We assume the other one really loves us. We assume the other person is being playful and silly, and we assume that there's this unconditional love. So no matter what Tristan says to me, it doesn't really occur to me that he's trying to hurt my feelings, right? Or anything like that. I just assume he's trying to tease me. So if you practice that dance and you assume that it is kind and loving. I find that in the dances that I do with other people, it's when I assume they don't like me, they're judging me, or it's just a bad habit I've gotten into, that I'm an old version of myself with them.
Sorry. Yes, yes, and yes. If we could go back for just a moment.
Back where?
To the beginning. When it first started, there was a lady and lovely.
Here's a story of a lovely lady. See, that's a good dance. No one, I bet, had any idea that he was trying to remember the Brady Bunch song.
That was the perfect relationship. If I were to go back to when all relationships, not all start off on the right foot, right? But a lot do, especially.
The right
foot. A lot do start literally off on the right foot. And there's playfulness, and there's joy, and there's love, and there's connection. There's a feeling of being seen. And sometimes it feels like that other person is completing you, right? Like there's these two halves or 3/4 and a quarter, and they just sort of fit together and they
Yeah.
work really well. And so a lot of time in relationships in the beginning, it's pretty good. Like new partnerships, business partnerships, we're excited, there's a vision, it's going to work. And then there are these little chinks, right? These little cuts, sometimes little jabs, little irritations. And over time, they're sneaky and they start building up, and then these reactions start to take place, or these stifling of feelings start to take place, and then it's become a habit.
Yeah.
And there's a momentum behind this, and all of a sudden something that was so beautiful and aligned, and you can see this in relationships that you've had, all of a sudden you're super apart.
Just those of you here live, have you experienced this? And
And I am sure every single human being has, in one way or another, is they feel disjointed from a parent, from a lover,
Yeah.
from a business partner. Like, so at some point the steps went awry. At some point the lead and the follow got jacked up.
and why is it? I think it usually stems from hurt. Someone felt
Some kind of hurt, some
or
kind of
lack
yeah.
of respect.
And that's probably the key word almost always, is feeling disrespected. Right? Like if you go into a relationship that you might have right now where you're feeling something,
Yeah.
you've got some sadness around it, you've got some anger, some irritation, it's almost always you felt disrespected.
Yeah.
Right? But what's the fix? Right? Like we're sitting here sharing about relationships. I think everybody has insights and experience.
Because it's our 15-year anniversary this week.
It is. It was yesterday. And so after 15 years of this dance and with different partnerships, we've had partnerships that have been very challenging. And we've had to do a lot of internal work to upgrade ourselves. So this is where I'm going. If I'm feeling disrespected, it's still on me. Even if the other person, I mean, Sabrina's sitting here, she's really respectful, but let's just pretend that she wasn't. And she was jabbing and being disrespectful. It's still on me because we teach people how to treat us. Thank you, Wayne Dyer. We, at some point, didn't say what needed to be said to help balance the equation, and we let it go too far.
Yeah. And we bring our habits that we have with other people to each and everything that we do. Like, I will treat someone disrespectful. If I were to do that, it is almost always because I didn't feel respected. That somehow it was my way of letting them know that I have value too, by putting them down or saying something in a sassy way. That's why there's so much conflict at work. Why is there so much conflict between co-workers and the co-worker and the boss, or the boss and the supervisor and the owner? Because you're trying to have respect and this kind of hierarchy at the same time. Well, that's a little bit similar to parent-child when the child is 18 or under, right? You want to have respect so that you can have a healthy relationship, and yet there is someone who is further along and in more of the position of the boss. Yeah.
So in order for me to never become the victim, like I became a victim a little bit, maybe a few months ago, in a relationship where we had somebody helping with something, and I was feeling disrespected.
We were hiring someone.
Right. And it was subtle. First, it was like, oh, Sabrina always just give people the benefit of the doubt, right? Okay, yeah, absolutely. I'm sure something happened, and you send positive energy, and your vibration, what you're in, your energy, is going to determine the next part of that relationship. So I kept putting in as much as I could, the unconditional love. That's my jam. I was just going for that. Respect. But after a while, it started to get under my skin.
And so things like not responding quickly, ignoring,
Feeling
only
ghosted.
answering. Yeah, you kept saying feeling
I'm getting
ghosted.
ghosted here. And whether it were in a business type relationship or even romantically, let's say you're dating somebody, you're back out on the dating scene or something. Or you've got a new friend. This happened with one of my friends recently, and he was getting ghosted by a dear friend of his. And it really hurts. So it gets under your skin, right? And so what do you do to not feel like the victim of that? So you know what it is usually? It's the uncomfortable conversation. It's actually saying to the other person, hey, listen, did you know that this is how I feel about this? I really want you to know. And setting the rules of engagement.
Yeah.
So I actually shared this with my friend recently. I said, why don't you, and I'm going to do this in every relationship, new relationship in particular, set the rules of engagement. Like, hey, I'm all about loyalty and I'm all about follow through. And if you say you're going to do something, if I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. And if I can't, I will communicate with you that I can't. So communication and loyalty, there's like my two favorite, core values. And he was like, oh my gosh, that's so important. I've not been doing that. Mm-hmm. So we've made that agreement in relationships.
You did it with another friend. There was a friend that we've had for like 30 years, and Tristan was texting him, and he would text back. We were arranging something, text him, nothing. And Tristan said, hey, I had you in my, what'd you call it, like peer...
I had you in my, I don't know if I said A list, but like, I have friendship categories, and I said I had you in the A category, but I just moved you to the B, and here's why. He called me back, he's like, I want to be in the A category. I'm sorry, I got busy, I got caught up. I'm like, totally get it. I was playing with you, poking with you, but I really feel that way.
Yeah.
And let's have that level of respect for each other.
So the dance analogy comparison to that would be, let's say when I would dance with some men, they wouldn't know that their arm that was around me and on my back was tight and strong because they were bigger than me usually. But I could communicate, hey, that if you could open up your palm so it's not crunching my shoulder blade and relax your biceps so that I can breathe better, I can dance better with you. But they wouldn't know that unless I said it. But here's the key. How do I say it? And where am I coming from? If he had just complained, you didn't follow my lead. You didn't dip like you were supposed to. And then I said, oh, yeah, well, your arm's too tight on my back.
Punch,
you're really...
Punch.
That's the tango you don't want to do.
That's the death
It's
trap.
just simply saying, hey, you probably don't know this, but I'm so small compared to you that hand on my back is tight, and I think I could be a better partner for you and respond more sensitively if the grip was looser, so that if it did tighten, I would notice and that you could lead me more. So you want to always contribute where it honors the other person and expresses how, as the relationship, what you're doing can make the relationship better.
I love that. So there's a cool thing that we talk about here at the show. We say that Tristan and Sabrina, we created the name Trisbrina for ourselves because this is an us, right? So if I'm feeling something, it's not about Sabrina. It's about Trisbrina. Do you understand? So I'm having an issue in the relationship of us. It's its own entity. Mm-hmm. So I'm no longer pointing fingers. I'm looking at the usness, like what's off here that we said it takes two to tango. It takes two to create a relationship. So if you're always pointing the finger and saying it's you, and you're not taking any responsibility, you're missing. Mm-hmm. It's an us. And so I always ask myself, I got to take responsibility for my vibration. So let's talk about that for a minute because we love energy around here. So let's say something's going on and you think it's the other person's fault. But still, you contributed vibrationally to that relationship. That's showing up for you. The universe is spot on with what it brings you because it's responding to your energy. Now, you might notice that you're feeling discomfort and you want to point the finger because that other person's the irritant. They're the catalyst. But you invited it in. You ordered it. You asked this person to dance. And at some point, if you're not liking it now, you probably missed a step along the way. Or they missed a step and you kept going. Mm-hmm. And then you weren't paying attention and all of a sudden you guys are dancing in the parking lot with cars flying by, right? And you're just like, how did I get here? It's you. No, it actually was when that first misstep was taken and you didn't respond effectively. So what do? Mm-hmm. Own your vibration right now. Start coming back to who you want to be, yep, how you want to show up, and what is cool with you. Because at a certain point, you're an enabler. You're allowing it to go on. And as I said earlier, we teach people how to treat us. So we have to take responsibility and then move into the us and fix that.
Yeah.
Not them. It's the us.
And it doesn't take two to communicate. So if you're with a person who's like, I don't want to have these conversations, you can still say, would you give me a moment so I can share something that's going to really help me bring more to the relationship? You still do your part. But I'll tell you this, if I had a dance partner that on repeat stepped on my toes, danced off beat, held me too tight, led me too aggressively, was boring, I would find a new dance partner.
That's right.
So if you have somebody that you've been hanging out with for many years and it's your friend, but you're always complaining to your spouse about how she said this to me and I thought that was really rude. And if are you always complaining about this person? Well, two things to say. Get a different partner, change dance partners, or look at that part of you that is so invested in doing that dance. Because isn't this the truth?
Here we go.
I'm dancing with a man, and we're saying he's the leader in the tango. I was a ballroom dancer, if you don't know. And the leader leads me. Depending on how I follow, and only depending on how I follow, can he lead the next step? Right? So if you're with that friend that always says that thing, what do you usually say back, or what don't you say back, or how do you pout, or how do you just think about how you're going to tell your husband when you get home? Like, what is that step that you do on repeat when that happens? Or maybe you're like, I'm so much better than her. I wish she'd go to church, right? Whatever that thing is that you think, like, oh, one day she's going to be so sorry. Oh, when I die, she's going to be so sorry she treated me like that. What is that thing that you do? What's that step that you do that you could try something different? That you can try something different. Sometimes it's speaking, sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's gentle, sometimes it's not. But if you stop doing the matching step, that dance can't be done.
Oh, this is juicy. You guys ever see this thing with the relationships? It's so good what's coming through you. Where two people come together to create like a balanced structure. One person's kind of bent forward, another person's bent forward, and they sort of hold each other and it works. But there's some dysfunction in this posture, and there's some dysfunction in this posture, but somehow it's working. And this person over here starts to say, you know what? This is freaking uncomfortable. I want to evolve. And they start standing up and pushing on this person. This person starts to get irritated, don't they? Like, why are you pushing? Why are you changing?
Push down more.
This happens a lot with personal development, and your partner doesn't want to do the work. And you're like, I'm out, peace up. I'm still with you though, and I'm standing straight, and this is so good, and you should join me. And this person's over here going, get back where you were. You're making my life miserable. Stop doing the thing you're doing. It was way better when you were here.
Stop being aligned. Stop standing straight.
Stop, getting aligned. So you have to ask yourself at this point, when you realize this was uncomfortable and I was in a dysfunctional relationship, and now I'm clear, we still want to send love, but we've got to invite them to join us. And if they can't, it's so hard to go back in there or find a new angle. Right?
Or there are times that the dance that you, let's say with the example that Tristan said, you're in a relationship, one of you starts doing things to grow and change that we call personal development. Let's say you were in a relationship with someone and you decided to get physically healthy and start meditating and spend more time with nature, where that wasn't what your life was about before. But your partner's like, I don't want to do that. That's not what I want to do. I want to stay in my man cave and watch football and drink beer all day.
That's not what all men do, but that was a good analogy. I'd watch MMA.
Then you can find other people to do different dances with you, right? Like one of my friends reached out right before this and said, hey, would you like to do this with me this weekend or this with me? And I'm like, oh, wow. Like as an adult woman reaching out. And these were things that are beautiful and personal development, that you can have a community. Like we have a lot of people in our Life Force Mastery online dojo that are in relationships where their partner's just like, I'm glad you're so happy doing that. And it gives, and you doing that is helping you bring more to the relationship. It's not my cup of tea. And then we have others that are doing it together. And then we have some that do it for a long time, and then the other person comes sneaking in. And then we have some that stand right up front, and the person's in the background acting like they're not listening, but they are. Like it's all sorts of things. So that one person, if you start wanting to do other things, they don't have to do all those things with you. You can do those things by yourself or have other friends. It doesn't mean that you have to totally leave that relationship. It's just the dance may be different.
Yeah, and if they like the new version of Tango that you're dancing, hopefully they'll join you and you'll have a beautiful evolution. But, you can actually communicate, hey, listen, I'm not leaving. I'm just stretching and growing, and I'm inviting you to grow with me. And sometimes as you're going through it, rather than pulling out and going here and then they're feeling off, as you're waking up that new stance and you're pushing into them, have the conversation sooner than later. Hey, listen, I'm growing and I can see how it's helping you grow too, because we're in this together and we love each other, and see how this person's being forced to grow a little bit. And you're having the conversation, hey, this is good. This is good for us.
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 Not I'm better than you, or I'm growing and you're not. That's where
and then it
get into trouble.
It becomes balanced, harmonious. It's a namaste experience together, and they will so appreciate you. But it's having that conversation sooner than later. And if it is later, okay. Like we have some friends going through some stuff right now, and they've had the jabbing thing going on for so long that it's almost like it's become a habit.
I like what you call it. You call it like little paper cuts.
They're like little paper cuts over
paper
time.
cut.
But over time, you're walking around with all these cuts, and you're just so sore, and you're so reactive and so sensitive.
Or it's the normal.
But it still hurts. Like it's not a comfortable place. And so we need some healing lotion. We need some time together. So for some relationships, they need to hit the pause button and go and do the work. And if you're in that situation, and we've had that happen, go and do the work.
Go and do the work.
Go and do the work. And do that beautiful work together if you want the relationship to blossom. And thrive and flower.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to, because every relationship is designed, I believe, organically by the divine to help you be a better human being. Otherwise, why else be in relationships?
Yeah.
Any kind.
And I want to bring up this thing about vernacular. And like sometimes you're with someone and what you're into sort of changes, and you've gone over here and learned all these new words and these new way of looking at things and these new things that you say, and you bring it back and you are like, we're going to have this different vocabulary. I think sometimes when you're in a relationship with someone and you are trying to be the inspiration for them to be the best version of them that they can be, just kind of speak in their language to them.
Yeah.
Because so many times I've seen, you can get so excited about the new thing that you're into and feel like it's so much better. It's so much more open. It's so much more positive. It's so much more evolved. And then it's really hard for that mother, sibling, friend, lover to want to evolve because they immediately feel less than and behind. So whatever you can do in the communication to make it about us or to make it about just an opportunity without the sting of I'm better than, this is better than, right? The only dance step that feels good between two people is one where both people are aligned to what they love and they're dancing in unison together. That lead and follow is beautiful and exciting. And you can bring that quality. Like it could just be your one goal in all of life is to bring the best version of yourself to every friendship when you encounter every family. And I think family might be the toughest of all because we go through so many different relationships, from being that little child to the parent. And then what about an older parent with a very adult child to a grandchild? Then the relationships start to change, and it takes a beautiful efforting to continue to respect everyone for where they are now. That's probably why teenagers and parents have to struggle so much because the teenager's trying to step into the identity of, I am who I am. You're not the boss of me. And they need to, right? They have to get this own sense of identity, and yet they're not old enough to have that yet. And then they're a little bit older and they're like, you're not going to tell me what to do. And then the parent has to be like, but that's been my job for 18 years, is to tell you what to do. So, that playing with that, or even the role of siblings, it's a constant growing. But can we bring that analogy into a marriage or a partnership that's been going on 10, 20, 30, 40 years? Don't you think the dynamics will change? Don't you think each person has grown and changed, and the relationship after 15 years is not the relationship that it was 15 years ago? It's different. We're both it's two different people. It's two different people because we're constantly growing and evolving.
Right. So good. So good. Now, let's say, like in that example, you're in a relationship within the family ecosystem, and there's nothing you can do, right? Like, you're not going to leave the family. You might like create a little space or a little distance, but maybe you're under the same roof, or you spend a lot of time together, and no matter what you say to try to have the uncomfortable conversation, or you try to work it out, or try to get the posture right, it's not working. Then I say go Zen Master approach. Zen Master approach for me is you do the work, you connect to the unconditional love that you can connect to the best you can, and you just beam love out. And even if somebody's going through something uncomfortable, dysfunctional, you hold the space and you don't let that energy deflate you or become victim to it. You stand strong, you release the attachment of trying to fix them, and you take care of you. And then if you know anything about our mystical orbit technique, you send unconditional love to them so that you are feeling empowered by the relationship, meaning there's something you can do. You might not be able to communicate in this bi-directional fashion with words, but you can sneak in over the top and you can pour that love down on top of them through the divine channel, and just send the love and hold them in light and hold them in possibility and see them being the best version of themselves that they can be. Meanwhile, like Ho'oponopono, you're cleaning yourself. You're cleaning your own reactions and you're sending that love. Now, you're not doing it with an agenda so that when they change, they'll be a certain way with you. You can't have an agenda on this. It's got to be unconditional, that you're just extending the love, because that's what you are. You're a beamer of love, right? And that is the most beautiful thing you can do.
Yeah.
You don't have to feel a victim. And if they are giving you stuff, then I just say in martial arts, it's just training.
Yeah.
It's like sparring. Oh, okay, cool. We're going to do this dance, and you're going to throw these punches, and I'm going to learn to slip, bob, and weave, and float like a butterfly, but I will not sting you like a bee. I will just allow you to wear yourself out, because this is the most beautiful saying in Aikido. The moment you attack back, you've already been defeated because you stepped out of alignment with the love of the universe. So be the Zen master of love.
Yeah. Beautiful. I know that when I am, I'll just say snippy. Am I ever snippy?
No.
That's like that trick question. Do I look fat in these pants? Never answer that.
You actually have never looked fat. So,
so oftentimes it's because of what's happened prior, but I could unleash it in this direction because I don't have anywhere else to let it out. So it just sometimes, it sounds weird, but sometimes it feels good just to like, because this person that wrote this email has irritated me. That package that was supposed to come got delayed, or the gardener put the weed killer on the roses, right? These things start piling up, or, you know, Winston won't eat, or the things with the dogs. And I'm actually very worried and I'm very concerned and I feel overwhelmed with responsibility. And like, there's not enough of me to go around and I'm not good enough. So I'm feeling all of that. And then I do something and he's going to take it personally. And all it is that I really should have, instead of barking, just said, I'm kind of beaten down. Can you just kind of love me for a minute?
Aw. I'm so ready to love you up. You ask anytime.
So to know that that person that may be barking, they're usually hurt. You know, I know that some of my friends that tend to bark, it's because they try so hard to prove that they're really good at something, or that they're smart, or that they're capable, and they want admiration greater than maybe they've received, or they have admiration and they're afraid of losing it. And there's a sense of hurt, of not being good enough, that usually can cause what looks like a bully or can look mean, but it really is hurt.
It's a call for love.
It's really hurt.
And if you end up in a relationship where one of you or both of you does a little something and causes a little uncomfortableness, you know how there's that journey of healing, and then you know at some point, well, it's hard to know when you're in the middle of it, but at some point you're going to get back to okay, right? You're going to get back to hug. You're going to get back to love. But there's this little bit of this journey part.
But if you do it too soon, they win.
Yeah, you gotta make them suffer. You gotta give them the cold shoulder. They gotta feel it, so they'll never do it again.
You gotta teach them.
Yeah, that's right. I felt this in my life. So we have a lesson at Satori Method for you. This will be our final thing here. This part in the middle, we call this exercise skip the middle part. Just give yourself the permission to drop it and just jump right down here and go to love. Now, hopefully your partner can receive that, but if they can't, that's okay. You do it in yourself.
Yeah.
You don't have to process all this stuff.
Don't enter their personal space if you can tell they don't want it.
Yeah, they might need a minute. Maybe they've got to process the middle part, but you can skip it and just go right to that. It's called future pacing in neuro-linguistic training. You just jump to the end and you get there. Because you're going to get there, right? Just skip the middle part. Just go for it. And here's the key. It changes your vibration. You're back in a good place. You're holding them in a vision of all that is love. They're going to feel that. Whether you're sending it over the top or they're going to just notice that you have shifted and you're good. Okay?
Not better than.
Nope.
Not disconnected. Not I'm cutting off my emotions. Not stoic. Right? Very present. Very much respectful. If you want that other person to respect you, you need to respect them. And you need to respect all of them. And you need to respect what they're feeling. Because they really are feeling those feelings.
That's right.
Even if it seems totally unjustified and crazy, like, how can you feel hurt? I said I don't like that red shirt. Why are you so upset? Right? But you just respect that they are feeling that.
And let them.
And if you respect someone so fully, they will respect you. A lot of times when I'm being disrespected, if I look back, I was not respectful of things because I didn't think they were right action. Because I was judging them. So life it's a beautiful dance, this tango of two. You can use it to such an advantage when you practice. Like if you're in our Life Force Mastery Dojo, I'll just say our Saturday Fitness Fusion class, as soon as the class starts, like everyone's there, everyone's ready to have fun, everyone's having a blast in the chat. Everyone shows up expecting this dance of fun, healthy playfulness with challenge and laughter and silliness. That's what we expect from that relationship together. And so we show up with that. So the more you practice what you do want, the better you'll get at that dance with each and every person. You have a special energetic connection like the Trisbrina with each and every person. And you can have a special dance with each and every person.
I just put a link on the screen in case you're not getting the notifications of our show. We do this show each week. There's always a new topic around energy, around relationships, around healing, just, love stuff. And that's where you go, satorimethod.com/T.
The Trisbrina Show.
TTS. Or you could just do trisbrina.com and it'll take you there. That's our show. That's our time. Thank you for all the beautiful comments that have been coming through. Geraldine said, how did you two get so wise? I think it's through...
a lot of bad dances.
a lot of bad dances. And then identifying what we love, how we love showing up, being so persistent.
And picky about our partners.
Picky about partners and so persistent and insistently training ourselves up.
On the basics. You have to
Constantly.
train the basics.
Constantly.
Here, take a picture with me.
How?
Look at the camera.
Hi. That's a screenshot picture. All right. Well, I think, we were playing some music earlier that I found right before our session. Oh, you guys want to see a cute picture? Here's a cute picture. Aww. Falling in love. Falling in love.
So I was hired. They were going to write an article about me in an Austin magazine about being the artistic director of this dance studio. And I think my dance partner was mad because we got engaged.
Probably.
And so I asked Tristan, hey, will you come and do the photo shoot with me?
We're doing the hoedown in that one. All right, everybody. Thank you for the beautiful comments that came through during the show tonight. We always go back and read everything. I saw a lot of them as they were coming through live. They were beautiful. Here's our tango. You ready? You want to dance for us a little bit?
No.
You sure?
I'm sure. I don't have any pants on.
It's true. There's no pants. You just walked in here without any pants on?
You'll just have to wonder.
She has pants on. Much love. Bye now.